Hey folks, it's Harry, and I'm here for another new comic book Saturday. So today I have a relatively small haul, and that is because the comic book store was once again short on the books that they were supposed to get for me. Looking at my list, it appears as though mainly they missed this week's books. So a little disappointing, but not as bad as it's been. Um, I am going to be moving into my first week first month, I should say, with DCBS very soon. So that's going to be a very interesting experience. I'm really looking forward to just getting my comics in the mail and not having to go to Timbuktu to try to pick up my books, come back home, not have all the books that I'm supposed to have, or know that I have books that should have been pulled for me that weren't pulled while I'm there. And then they have books that they ordered for me, but I didn't order. That said, things have been kind of busy and crazy around here with Giacomo and friends. We are still editing the Call of Cthulhu video, which is devouring a ton of my free time. It turned out that they did not, in fact, turn off the overhead fan while filming most of their video. So during all of Gus's parts, you can hear the fan. And that's kind of a ongoing issue that we've had here so far on the channel, which is just audio issues. And that's something that I'm going to try to do my best to mitigate as we go forward. So since all of the editing kind of falls to me, because Gus really doesn't have the energy to do it, Giacomo doesn't have the attention span to do it, that leaves me. And I'm going to do my best to try to fix the sound issues going forward. So in this video, I made sure that I was recording on the good microphone, because last video that I had, I had the microphone set up, everything was ready to go, and it turned out that I was actually recording the audio from the webcam instead of the microphone, which I again apologize for that. But that's a whole bunch of nonsense that I can leave till the end of the video. I think that it would be best if we just go right to the webcam, flip down, looking at the desktop, and we can start talking about what books I got this month. And we'll go from there. So here we are on the desktop where all of the comic books are residing. So first up, I have Ablaze's Belit and Valeria Swords versus Sorcery, number 4. So as you can see, extremely cheesecakey cover. It continues to be a very cheesecakey series, to the point that I am not going to open up the comic just in case there's something lurid or what have you inside. It's not a bad book by any means. It's just not the kind of book that I'm looking for. It reminds me a lot of the Dynamite books, so Vampirella and all of those, where the focus is on the cover, the cheesecake factor, the fact that you can see nipples through her shirt and all that sort of thing. I'm not big on it. The series, like I said, it's been fun. It reminds me a bit of 80s Conan type movies, but it's definitely lacking in certain kinds of appeal that it could have. So again, this is a parody cover, so this is an X-Men parody cover. And parody, it sounded like I said parody, parody cover. So I still love the parody covers that Ablaze does, and I wish that they just turned down the cheesecake factor a little bit on this one. I would have appreciated the series more. I have one more that's on pre-order, and I think that's actually the end of the series. So if I hadn't pre-ordered this, if I had just picked this up on a whim, like just picked up number 1, I never would have picked up number 2. And at this point, I'm just so I've pre-ordered everything, so I'm just gonna take what I ordered and read it and put it into my comic book storage bin and probably never see these again. So, is what it is. And the back, of course, has a quote from the story. Caging the poor girl would be a fool's errand. I believe that that's about Belit because she's very uncageable. So, yes, that's Belit and Valeria. Number 4. Boom. Next up, we have Cover the Dead with Lime, number 2. So this was interesting, fun little story. The price is here in the tiniest print I have ever seen. The guy at the comic shop was not able to read it. The assistant at the comic book shop took out his phone to take a picture of it so he could magnify it. And then eventually the guy at the register took out a magnifying glass to be able to read that it is $3.99. So just this little tiny bit, the publisher imprint, and then where the price is, just really needs to be a lot bigger, you know. But I think that they did it to sort of minimize how much it takes up on the cover, because this is a really nice cover. It's very evocative of what's going on in the story. So I read number 1 last month, and I loved it. It was very, very good, very dark, very grim, in the best way. So it follows this fellow who is a plague doctor, and you first think that it's just going to be the bubonic plague, and it's not the bubonic plague. He is actually dealing with a plague of the undead, and it's set in like bubonic plague era, which is really keen. I thought that was excellent. So just like last month's, we have some very nice painterly style art. It just continues to be an excellent book, and it's only on number 2, so I like that shot right there. It's very nice. So in this one, he's just going to get deeper into the mystery of what's going on, what's happening with these undead and all that. And we got the commercials at the back for Packin's Land and Usher the Dead. So there we have it. And then the back gives you a little bit of background of what's going on in this one. Leaving Vivency, Jack Teller, the lone plague doctor, has discovered the plague has shifted into an aggressive, unearthly state of epidemic. The victims are coming back to spread to life to further spread the disease. By request of Annabeth Williams, Jack sets out to the neighboring town of Arlington as Teller's past begins to be explained. This is an excellent book. I would love it if they had it as a role-playing game. I would run a game in this. I would play a board game of this. Even just like a simple solo player with you get to be the plague doctor and there's zombies coming in and you're trying to manage that. I'm all over this as an IP. I would love to see more of this. A lot. All right, we got Frank Frazetta's Death Dealer, and I believe this is number 4. And this cover I absolutely loathe. It is not the cover I ordered, but it's the cover I got, and it's the cover I'm going to live with. So this story continues to be very Conan-esque, as Death Dealer deals with his evil helmet that gives him power, and the deals that he made with it. And, you know, it's still a very good fantasy story, the kind of stuff you like to see if you like Conan-y, D&D-ish kind of stuff. It has everything that you could be looking for. It has magic, it's got sword play, axe play, and all that kind of good stuff. See, this, the Frank Frazetta art, that's the cover I wanted. Not this. This looks like a nice piece of artwork that they use the Photoshop shrink wrap effect on. Not cool. Don't love it. But I like that we actually at least get to see the alternate covers and have a nice nice look at them. I really like this Sega Genesis version. That's really cool. So it also gives you just... So Opus Comics, they're the ones that do Death Dealer. They also have this whole set of comics based on bands. So they have Cradle of Filth, Disturbed, Evanescence, and Crystal Planet, who I've never heard of. So yeah, so Opus, music-inspired stories from Incendium. So Opus is the line, Incendium is the comics. So yeah, so, or something like that. Because it says Opus here, and it says Incendium back here. So Incendium, Myths, Monsters, Metal, Incendium Online, Opus, art-inspired stories from Incendium. So I guess Opus is the imprint of Incendium. I'll have to actually look up more on that later. But yes, so Death Dealer, I'm really enjoying it. This cover is absolute trash, in my opinion, but it's better than I could do, so it's not absolute trash. So I'll take that back. This cover is not ideal for my aesthetic. I feel that's fair. I just don't like the overall effect of it. It looks shrink-wrapped. I cannot get over that. Magic Order number 3, Magic Order 3, number 2. And we got Lady Butt. So be careful, there's Lady Butt on the cover. And we got the nice Magic Order style art. So I read number 1 last month. And what it's doing is it's building out a lot of the Magic Order world. And I'm just going to go ahead and flop this over with... This is maybe a less butt-y cover. I'll just flip it over here for now. Actually, let's put it inside. Go inside. And there we go. Let's flop it here. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so Magic Order 3, it's really expanding the world of the Magic Order. And it's giving them more room to grow and growing out what it's like elsewhere. So they're going to Asia, I believe. So there's that whole new angle of a different place. And overall, I've enjoyed number 1. Number 2's looking like it's going to be pretty good. I really don't know about this butt lady, but we'll find out more. I would probably not prefer a butt lady comic, but, what are you going to do? So, Ms. Marvel and Venom, number 1. This is part of a series of Ms. Marvel crossing over with other superheroes. There was Ms. Marvel Wolverine, Ms. Marvel Moon Knight, and now we got Ms. Marvel Venom. So this is the Momoko variant. I really enjoy Momoko's watercolory work with this, and I think that the interplay of Venom and Ms. Marvel look really cool on this cover. So I read the Wolverine installment and I read the Moon Knight installment. Both were good. Both have Ms. Marvel doing her Ms. Marvel thing, but they also really are faithful to the other heroes that are being presented. So you get Moon Knight feeling like Moon Knight, you get Wolverine feeling like Wolverine. And overall, they're telling an interesting story as it's all coming together. I feel like the main villain is going to be Ultron. It seems like it's going to be Ultron just from there being these robotic rats and things. And they all have this red glow effect. So here you can see there's a rat swarm on in this well, not rat swarm, this is the bug swarm that they had. So they're these robots, little robotic things that keep evolving, and to me that just sounds very Ultron-y. And so we get a lot of neat interplay probably between Venom and Ms. Marvel. And Venom here, specifically right here, he's got a real Ninja Turtles look about him. I'm not hating. I'm also not loving. So it's interesting. And yeah, I will reserve judgment till I actually read it. So I don't know if this is actually going to tell the whole ending of the crossover series, but if it does, I would be surprised. But I think it's going to, and I will be. So Spider-Man brings you Citizen Watches. So that's Ms. Marvel Venom. It's a Ms. Marvel book that is out, so I got it. I'm really wishing that they'd have a new series with her, and soon, because I'm missing it. Last book for the month, we've got Vanity #2. It finally got released. So it's been maybe 3 months late, I want to say. So Vanity Act 1, now we get an Act 1 under it. I don't think it said Act 1 on issue 1, but it may have. It's been a while. And this is a story of Elizabeth Bathory. You can see there's some naughty going on. And we've got this neat illustrative art choices that they're making. It's not what I was expecting. So you look at the art inside, you look at the cover. The cover has this very stark, modern sensibility to it with this elegance of the framing going on. And there's a simplicity about it, but also between the reds and these sort of gray browns and the cream white of her skin, when you look at this, you think this is what the interior is probably going to feel like, much like Pentagram of Horrors. You'd think that it'd be kind of like that, but inside it's much more, I feel, traditional looking for a comic. Sorry about the glare. It's getting to be evening time, so we're using the overhead light, not the natural light. But yeah, so the overall art style is different than what you'd expect. It reminds me of something, and I don't remember quite what, but it definitely gives me a neat vibe. I like the pen and ink with just the very subtle color. I think it's really neat. And they actually get you some really cool compositions in some of these frames. So, and then we got our ad for Vanity #3. Should be out next month, I hope. And I know that they already started soliciting a Act 2 book, so this looks interesting. The Infernal Pact could be interesting. Could be neat. Broken Souls Ballad. That looks less neat. But the Infernal Pact, if I saw this at the comic store, I would open it up and take a look inside and see what it's about. Sex, Drugs, and Damnation. I'm not really keen on experiencing any of those three, but they can tell a good story. So, we'll see. Oh, the back of this is neat. So, I just noticed this. I wonder, and I'm going to have to go pull my issue #1 now to see if they might have a top part of this art on the back, because I didn't even notice it. So, well, we'll report back on that next month. All right, so that is it. Those are all the comics for this month. This month was $24, so not a lot. We're short on books, so let's take a look at what we're short on as I put these in order. Well, they're in reverse order now. So this is my list. Boom, list. So Death Dealer 5 was due out on 9/14. I check online. There's comics that have been released today, this week, and Death Dealer 5 was supposed to be on 9/14. They didn't have that pulled for me. On 9/21, which was this Wednesday, I was supposed to have Creepshow 1 and Beware the Eye of Odin #4. So I'm probably going to go to Rubber Chicken tomorrow and pick up that Creepshow #1, Eye of Odin #4, check to see if they have the Death Dealer 5, And then I'm also getting Lonesome Hunters #4 because I did not pre-order Lonesome Hunters, and Lonesome Hunters is a really good book. Do not sleep on Lonesome Hunters. It's a Cullen Bunn project. He's at least on it. I think he's the writer for it. And it's 100% a really good book. It's better than I thought it was going to be. Anyways, but I'll talk more about that next time. So I have a small list of what's left for me to get at the current store that I'm going to. So I got Magic Order 3, #3, Grimm 5, Billet, Valeria 5, Cities of Magic 5, Ender After End 2, Illusion Witch 4, Pentagram of Horror 5, and then I also ordered a trade paperback, which may not be in until January. So, and then also, I made a note on this for sheet pan pancakes. Now that I've gone all blurry, this will not come into focus. There it is. Yeah, so I made sheet pan pancakes. Let's get my finger over it. So it's weird because I'm mirrored and upside down from when I look at this. Anyways, but I made sheet pan pancakes. It was a Barry Lewis recipe, and it was fabulous. It is my preferred way to make pancakes right now, and if I were to be making pancakes right now, that's what I'd be making. So, like I said, this is actually the last of the comics I'm going to be picking up at a regular store for quite a while. I'm assuming that things with DCBS are going to go well. All right, so I'm going to go back up top, and we'll talk about a few things, and I will say goodbye. All right, so up top we go. All right, so that's what I got for books this month, and it's a very small haul, like I said. I'm happy about that because groceries were very expensive this week, and I did not have the money to throw around on if I had a like $80 comic book haul, which I'm not going to have for some time. So my first DCBS order should be shipping the first week of October. So I'm a fifth week ship person. So that means that if it's a 5-week month, then I will get my book shipped on that fifth week. If it is a 4-week month, it'll be the first week of the next month. So the first week of October, I'll be getting my books shipped, which means that I should have them by the second week of October. Right now, it's only a couple books and a t-shirt, so I don't know what I'll actually be expecting, but I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to be. So far, it's 2 Batman books and a new t-shirt, and I'm really excited for the t-shirt. I'm also excited for the Batman books. I haven't read any DC in quite some time. Ever since they had moved to having their own little previews, the DC Connect it was called. I just couldn't be bothered to go fishing through that to try to find what books I wanted to pre-order. So I just kind of stopped with DC because I wasn't going to go to a separate site on a separate day when it's not showing up in previews. So previews, they had their Dropbox system where you could sign into, and then they might show you the DC stuff on their site. Nah, I was done playing around with that. I didn't want to fiddle with that too much, so I just said no, not for me. No DC for me. And so now that I'm with DCBS, and they are like a main distributor for DC, it really like, okay, yeah, I'm back on the board with the DC, so I'm reading some Batman now, and we'll see what else comes out. So they don't have any of the Vertigo titles anymore, really. So Vertigo's not a thing. Vertigo's mostly what I was reading from DC. They do have the whole Sandman world. For a while, I had sworn off Neil Gaiman because just the Miracle Man was supposed to be like time out. I'm gonna collect my thoughts. Miracle Man is a really cool series. I never got into it when it was originally released. It was written by Alan Moore at first, which means you know it's going to be good or at least interesting. Because all of his stuff I've read has been at least interesting. That said, when Alan Moore had left Miracle Man, Neil Gaiman stepped in. And he continued doing a really good job. Neil Gaiman is a masterful writer. He's actually a big part of what got me into writing. And so what happened was eventually issues stopped coming out. And I had heard through the grapevine of things it's because Neil Gaiman was going slow. And that was like, oh, well, that's kind of low because they're in the middle of a storyline and I'm really enjoying this book. They had just released like a number 0 that was going to some of the background to set things up for what was going on in the next age of the comic. And then nothing for months, then years. And when it was just months, they kept resoliciting it in previews again and again and again and again. And they're like, well, this is going to come out. It's going to come out. It never materialized. So it's been a long time. I'm going to have to reread everything because it's been that long. Because I want to say it's been at least 5 to 6 years. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 5 or 6 years. So what happened was because I had heard that it was Neil Gaiman sort of being slow about it, I said, I'm not reading any Neil Gaiman until the next Miracle Man comes out, until he finishes the Silver Age story. So when Neil Gaiman released Norse mythology, now, this is Neil Gaiman, one of my favorite authors, doing Norse mythology, one of my favorite mythologies, and one that's part of my own personal spiritualism. And I'm not getting it. I didn't get it. The American Gods series came out on streaming. I forget what streaming service it was. And I said, no, I'm not watching that. It's a Neil Gaiman thing. Nope. He did not finish Miracle Man, so I'm not watching it. Good Omens came out. I watched Good Omens. It's like, well, Terry Pratchett's involved in that, so it's okay. And I did not regret watching Good Omens. Good Omens was amazing. Super high recommendation if you haven't already watched it and you're a fan of sort of quirky Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but the Bible. I feel like that's the way it comes across. It's the way it comes across in my mind. So anyways, so we had all of this stuff happening, and then eventually it came out. Like, I read the story of this huge, complex legal battle of what happened with Miracle Man. And all of a sudden, waves of regret washed over me. Like, I could have been reading all of this Neil Gaiman stuff and enjoying it, because most of the reason why it didn't come out, why the Silver Age storyline was, like, they slammed the brakes on it, was because of all these legal disputes and weird stuff that was going on. So it wasn't his fault, and I missed out on a lot of neat Neil Gaiman content. So I might go back and watch American Gods at some point. I don't know that it even really looked that good. I am currently watching Sandman because, Sandman. And they solicited the new Miracle Man, so it would be okay anyway. But I digress. I was watching Sandman. I really enjoy that one. The aspect ratio on Sandman was making me question reality. I was wondering why does it look like this was letterbox fiddled around with, and it reminds me of old, like, 1970s movies shown on a black and white TV that's been reformatted, pan and scan, squished, and everything so that you can actually see most of the movie. So, anyways, all that said, the new Miracle Man has been solicited. New Miracle Man's coming out, so I'm happy about that. So, other business that's going on. We have Giacomo Sings. He's got a cover planned. Hopefully it's going to be coming out this week. He's a little nervous about it, and he's been considering asking for some help for it. So I think it'll be interesting. He got a very special request from one of my friends, and he wants to do it upright. So we'll see what happens. He's asked for me to kind of give some I want to say production support for it, so I don't want to say too much because it might blow the surprise of the video, but we'll be seeing that hopefully this week. If we don't see it this week, we'll see it next week. Giacomo is also concerned about his simplification video. This is now the second month of sort of him trying to figure out if we're going to be doing filming for it or not, and if he's ready to do it. And it's coming. He's got a script, but he keeps revising it. So we'll see what happens. We should also see a No Fuss Gus coming up soon. If not this week, then next week. And in that one, he's going to be talking about riddles, which will be kind of neat. So he was going very in depth on the how to improve your RPG / storytelling game to make it more therapeutic, and etc. etc. I forget the exact title of that book. Every time we shot a video referencing that, it's like, what is that title again? I had it. I had to put in little things on it that said, hey, this is what the title is, because we kept following it up every time. So anyways, so he's going to be going back into just talking generally about RPGs, and he's going to be talking about riddles in the next one. And then he already has a plan for a couple more after that. So you should see a couple of regular ones popping up soon. So other than that, we're at 50-something subscribers. I want to say 53. So we are past halfway to actually doing a live play run by Giacomo. So I've already spoken to one of my friends that's a videographer who's a professional at this, unlike me. And he's agreed that he's going to help out. I asked him, how much do you want me to pay you for this? And he says, I'm not doing any editing, right? And I said, no, I'm going to do all the editing. He's like, free. So that'll be interesting and fun. I know it's going to be a lot of footage and what have you, but I think that's going to be a good time. But that's going to be a probably next year thing at this point, at best. I don't expect that the channel is going to explode all of a sudden, another 50-something subscribers. But if it does, cool. We will then just put the 100 subscriber special a little bit more priority, and we'll talk about it multiple times until we actually do it. And it'll probably crop up in these videos, because I think that these videos are also going to be a state of the channel video. I don't know, but it's what it is right now. So we're at 36 minutes or so. That doesn't include the time I'm cutting. So I'm going to just say goodbye. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. If any of the books that I read, if any of the books that I looked at today seem of interest to you, go ahead and just drop a comment. Say, hey, I want to read this or that, or hey, I'd love to see a review of this or that, and we will definitely sink our teeth into it. So until next time, we'll do okay, and hope you do too. Right, bye. As I sit here getting ready to edit the video, I think that we're doing well, and hope you do too, is probably the worst sign-off that I've ever heard. But I'm leaving it. You know why? Because I need to be reminded about how bad things can get. Seriously, thank you for watching. And I'll see you next time. Bye.